He's laughing at something else. Anyway, we are here with a spoiler cast for none other than The Last of Us Part 2 because I played through it on the channel and, these two followed along the entire time and they got a chance to experience it along with us because it's basically a 35-hour movie, right? So we're gonna just kick this off and we're gonna go through an entire discussion about all the crazy stuff that we saw, the nuances to the story, what everyone thinks about things, and just kind of like digest the insanity that is that game. I figured we'd start with the big first 2-hour twist, like right at the beginning of the game. They kill off Joel, the guy
straight murder.
I'd love to hear Natalie's perspective on this though, because she never played the first game and she's just now going back and learning who they are. She's about halfway through, is that right?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through, and from watching the second game and falling in love with Abby, I don't get that connection that you probably have with Joel.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, meh. I mean, he's doing his job of being a smuggler, that's what I'm getting so far, but
yeah,
he slowly started to let Ellie into his heart slowly.
Yeah, that does take a while. It's definitely the whole point of the first game is right, just building that relationship. But yeah, you falling in love with Abby has to be a little bit of a strange feeling from this story. But when you saw Joel's death, so how did that hit you that first time? Because obviously with Jake and I, we were like, what the fuck is going on? This is some bullshit.
Well, yeah, I guess I got that just based off of Ellie's reaction.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh shit, something's really going down here.
That's a good point.
But then as the game continued on, I kind of forgot about his death.
Wow.
Okay.
Because he wasn't a part of the story to me.
That's a good
point. The
way
that someone with the first game would have.
So in other words, this is not as friendly for maybe people who are coming the first time, but I think it kind of
right.
just presented it differently because you really fell in love with Abby in a way that
it made it easier for me to fall in love with Abby and to see her side of things.
Yeah, I guess go to you, Jake. Take me through that scene. Abby, or they walk in, Joel and
having played the first game, the emotion that gets set up is you are this character who has taken care of and nurtured this person who could potentially save the world. And you've had the job, basically, the unannounced job of taking care of this person, and you've been unofficially tasked with taking this person to a place where they could find a cure for all the bullshit. Right?
Cure for all the bullshit.
Yeah. Sorry, those are more modern terms for these days. And it's interesting when you start playing and you play a little bit as Ellie, which happened a little bit in the first game. There were a few scenes that you played as Ellie, which were super exciting because for a good 95% of the game, you play as Joel.
Mm-hmm.
And then having Joel do his normal, oh, I found this person, they need help, I'm going to help them, let's get each other out of this situation. Cool. And then the second his brother introduces them and says, yeah, I'm Tommy, this is my brother Joel. Boom. Joel's kneecap gets erased with no explanation, no build-up, nothing. Just, hey, look, here's people that we think are shady, but we played as one for a minute, so they should be okay. And then one of them erases Joel's kneecap in probably the most gruesome shotgun shot I've ever seen on screen.
Right, legitimately, it looked too real. It looked too real, and I was like, he's dead. He's dead, but there's no way. I think the whole time I'm processing it live, trying to think they can't kill him off. What the fuck are they gonna do for 30 hours that I've heard this game is 30 hours? How? And I'm trying to process that. So keep going. Sorry, I just was that knee fucked me up.
Oh yeah, seeing it, just the parts dangling out of it.
Oh.
Natalie, you probably are familiar with those parts, the ACL dangling to the side and whatnot.
Oh Lord. Hold on, let's take a quick pause. Our fashionably late co-star, Mr. RJ Santos, welcome to the crew. And I didn't get a chance to introduce everybody, obviously. Everyone knows Jake to my left, I think, on screen.
Yeah,
And then down in the bottom
I hope
corner,
you know me.
This is Natalie. This is Delightful Dylan's other half, who's a fantastic and
The
funny
better
gamer.
half.
Yeah, agreed. Love Dylan. Just kidding, Dylan. I know you're watching. And then we got RJ right below me, our very wonderful friend, whose camera went off. Maybe we'll come back. Hopefully we can get him all functioning, but keep going. I apologize. There he is. Are you here with? Oh, I love it. I love it. Welcome to the stream. We're talking Last of Us Part 2. Jake was outlining his impression of the Joel scene. We just got to the shotgun blast.
God.
Yeah. So his kneecap gets erased, right? Just completely gone. There's no the first thoughts that went through my head looking at the hole where his kneecap used to be. Sorry, RJ, this is probably a little graphic.
Oh,
So,
bring it.
my first thoughts was he's going to be useless. This is a zombie apocalypse. They've killed him already. Like
That's a
whether
good
he
point.
dies a minute from now or a year from now, they've killed him because of this shotgun to the knee. Right? There's no way you can come back from that in this type of environment. And then it moves on to the senseless interrogation with no questioning or just a beating, basically. And then watching. I can't remember her name. What's Thick Shake's real name?
Abby. Thick Shake.
I was gonna say,
No, from Rainbow Six.
Oh, Gridlock. Yes, Gridlock from Rainbow Six.
Yeah. Watching
Also known
Gridlock
as
from
Abby.
Rainbow Six Kid take a 9-iron to Joel's body several times. And then
Guys.
finally, just you see the switch flip in her head that says, this is going to be it. This is going to be the shot that kills him. I've been holding back. Crack. Done.
And you can see his brain matter on the fucking club.
Oh,
I'm just
man.
gonna say the girl
That's
got
the part
style.
that killed me. Oh, fun. See, Natalie's the only one right now with the take that Abby was the hero from the beginning.
She was avenging her father. She had every right.
Kill shot, she said in that scene. But for real, but I guess that's part of the thing about this game is it starts off with this intense revenge story where we're looking at characters that we truly hate. Like Abby's a piece of shit, and I can't believe they made me play her. I was mad that I found out that I had been playing the person that kills Joel. But that's the thing is it's a game about revenge that ends up being this game about the arch nemesis kind of redeeming herself and you learning more about her and understanding that not one side is right in any of this nonsense. It's all dark, awful shit, and you don't get to choose when you go. You just go.
Mhm.
And that's the crazy thing. But RJ, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Joel scene, because I think Jake and I both agree that was fucking horrifying and awful, but you took a more logical approach than me.
So I'm not going to say that I thought it was coming, but I will say that I was not surprised to see something happening to Joel. I definitely had a feeling that this chapter was definitely going to be Ellie being the star of it.
Yeah.
But I just was not expecting it to be that graphic. And I was picturing actually a Z taking him and then, or him, a Z biting him, and then him being by the way, you could have cured me. And then her feeling I
Oh,
could have
fuck.
saved you.
No, your
That
version's
would
so
be
much darker,
so
dude.
screwed.
Oh, fuck up.
I want you to hit me
I
with
should have let you die so I
That
would have
would-
been cured.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
well,
lord.
RJ, how
Him
does that work?
realizing he fucked up.
Let me suck some blood to get the cure out of you.
I would watch that though. Would you not?
I
mean,
no,
as a
no, I'm
teenage
not
girl-
saying it's not good. It's terrifying, though. It's just horrifying
Girl,
world.
You don't think she'd be here, try this, the classic hand slash and
Just putting blood down
To
his
the
throat,
mouth.
just take it all. You gotta come back, Joel.
vampire.
She'd
Dracula,
probably
it's
just
all
be
Yeah.
screaming at him, "You stupid bitch! You should have let me go." Like, I don't know. It's just like there's so much there, but that is like another like major factor. There's going to be so many layers to this. Like, I'm going to try to take it piece by piece because like if we get too off topic, we're just going to go on these tangents that like go, oh well, what about the flashback scene when she realizes that he did this to her?
That's why when you're like only an hour, okay.
That's fair. Right now we're going to try to stick to an hour, but that doesn't mean that we won't get off on tangents. We'll see.
Sure.
I think, yeah, that kind of like leads us straight into a bit of about like Joel and Ellie's relationship in this game, and I think that that's one of the really really interesting points that they put you in right off at the bat. Like they're not in a good place. Like you immediately know that Joel and Ellie are not in a good place, and you haven't seen any of the scenes that tell you why. Like you don't even know why, other than that lingering like fucking MacGuffin at the end of the last game where they're like, he lied to her straight to her face. You could tell she knew. Like, and it was just like this question of like, was that the right move or anything like that? But I just think it's super interesting that they're able to like leave you with this like, you kind of want the happy ending, but you're just left with this weird feeling of like, she was not even in a good place with him, but he was taken from her. Like, does she still have the motivation to go and do this fucking horrible act that she wants to go do? And I don't know. I'm just like, I'm still trying to process like, I know I would have been ready to go, but that's not her father. That's not like would you guys have taken that same step?
For me, like I feel like this game is a lot of what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of like, what would you do in this situation? You know, if this was your daughter and your dad had died or whatever the case, whoever's feet, like, what would you do in that scenario? I would go full on Sith, like Abby did with the 9 iron. Not even kidding. Full on Sith.
Okay. So you'd be ready to tear down the whole fucking place.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, I would go full Abby and then full on Ellie would take down the entire Washington freaking outpost like a boss. Like, are you kidding me? A little teenage girl taking down a whole like mini army?
Jesus.
Boss.
What about you guys? Would you guys do the same thing? Did you feel like it was enough motivation for her? Like, or did you feel like because it was that like hanging weird feeling that she wouldn't have been there?
I think towards when you see like the flashbacks later on where they're like wanting to mend, or where she's like, I think I can forgive you, or I want to work towards forgiving you. That's where I can see that she would have that motivation, and she has that anger because she didn't get the chance to forgive him, and that was taken from her. So I can see why she went on it after the fact. But in the moment, you're just like, oh, okay, let's go kill people.
Yeah, it feels wrong, like she's making the wrong choice the whole time.
Yeah, or she's just letting herself be led by anger instead of making like I don't know. There's no other emotions behind it besides just anger.
What a ballsy choice to like withhold all that information until literally the last fucking scene. Like literally after she's done everything. And then you're like, oh fuck.
So
like,
beautiful. Oh my
she
God.
was ready to forgive him for the biggest thing that he took away from her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
so it makes sense. In the end, it like makes it a complete circle, and it's like, okay, like you kind of forgive her for leaving her family and everything at the end and going after Abby one more time. You know, I get it, but at the same time, stupid.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a really difficult thing is like some of these actions she takes early on in the game, like killing some of these people so brutally and stuff like that. It's tough to stomach, especially like this game does such a better job in the first game, and if you haven't played it, like you should go back and look at it, at like making every kill feel fucking awful. Like you shouldn't be
like when you had to throw the punches at Nora.
Oh,
like, I remember every single time you're like, can I stop? Can I not do this? Like,
there's like a button press on the screen. It tells me to. I shouldn't do it,
and that's
but
the only option.
It's the only option. I didn't have a way to back out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a great point. I guess that's kind of like the a nice transition point though for talking about the dichotomy this game has, which is playing as Abby, where you come in and you think you're going to be playing Ellie. You play her for like fucking 9 hours, 10 hours, and you're going through and you're doing all these awful things, and you're like, I'm not sure I'm like on board with all this. And then it just like flips the script, and suddenly that fury's back. You're like, where the fuck you're gonna put me in control of Abby? Like, what were your guys' impressions of like having to control Abby at that moment?
The amount of anger that like I felt just watching you play, thinking like, okay, so I always try to put myself into the shoes of the person I'm playing, right? So if I'm a teenager and someone just murdered my father figure, I know who it is, I watched it happen, I saw brain matter on the weapon, right? I'd be pretty pissed, right? Also, if you take into account the age, she's probably pissed about everything. Right?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
I know when I was a teenager, I was angry, right? Yep. That's the thing. Some teenagers are just angry. But so going through all of that and trying to put myself into those emotions and then playing Abby again. And then realizing like I think you and I had the same epiphany at the same time when you realized that you could craft things with Abby.
Oh, I was like, fuck.
Wait a minute.
This is going to be hours. I'm going to play her for so long. I knew that immediately.
Yes. And I immediately, the only thought in my head was the two are going to come together at the end, but I really need to see how.
Yeah.
How are they going to justify you playing the bad guy? But then you find out that bad guy is all perspective.
Yeah,
and
that's
in her eyes, in the eyes of the wolves or the scars. Ellie is a mass murderer. If you count the number of NPCs that Ellie kills once she gets to Seattle?
Well, that scene in the WLF, the scene in the WLF camp. Remember when they get there and they meet Nora? When you're as Abby and you meet Nora, and they take her into the like medical tent, and in the back room there's like 45 bodies, and they're all people that they brought back, and they kind of hint. They don't say directly, but they're like, someone's fucking us up, like basically. And it's Ellie. Like it's obvious that all of those are bodies that you've sent to them. Like
it's also Tommy too, though.
Oh, it's true. It is Tommy too. That's a good point.
But also Jesse shows up out of nowhere, so he could have been doing some shit.
I mean, no doubt he's a monster when it comes to fighting too. So he's survived just as long as Joel, and honestly, probably better. Like. Because he already built a city and shit. Like, he had shit going without, like, any problems. Dude's done some shit. Let's just say that. To get anywhere in this world... As soon
as we started watching Abby, I was just like, arms.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God,
check out those shoulders.
I gotta say, like, that was such a cool choice, though. Like, I was like, I'm so done with like just these like the frail female characters, and I'm like, man, Abby comes out and she straight eats a burrito in 3 bites.
Right? She's a full beast. Like,
that was also something
beautiful
that I thought was interesting too, because when you see her as a teenager before her dad dies, she's not yoked. She looks like a normal teenage girl build. After her dad dies, and you see her as an adult, she is fucking yoked. And on top of that, not like the way that she kills Joel, she beats him to death with her hands. Like, she has been picturing this for years. Like, there's a reason why she got so yoked. You know
she's like crafting her body as a weapon to destroy Joel.
Exactly.
Yeah, to like get her revenge.
So like that just like I was like, damn, that she is. And that also helped me with the link between the two of them about their single-mindedness, their focusness. Ooh,
They both experienced trauma in a. That's delightful, Dylan. Shout out to the shirtless one. They both experienced like an extreme trauma when they were young, right? Ellie a little bit later, but she's been through so much. She already has PTSD. This is just like an absolute exacerbation, and we're 100% dealing with two characters who have PTSD. Like this is not like not hidden in the game. In fact, like every single moment she doubts her like mission, what she flashes back to is that image of Joel bleeding on the fucking ground, and it's like this brutal reminder that she can't let it go. I heard somebody compare it to like a drug addiction. Like it's like you're like you need it, like, and she's not ready to live without it. Oh baby, I saw another glimpse. Come on, bring that one back. Forget abs, I'm back. But yeah, I find that like the PTSD handling is like surprisingly like nuanced. It's not just like PTSD and then they never touch on it again. They kind of use it as the reason why we keep circling back to these same themes, why Abby and more so Ellie like keeps being unable to let it go even when she has things like right in front of her that she shouldn't walk away from, you know.
Well, I mean, Abby had the same thing because as you saw through the
that's true.
flashbacks, and like Owen was like,
Going back
"Hey,
to the
I want to
hospital.
start a relationship with you," and she's like, "I can't even get into this because I need to go kill.
I need to go train. I need to get better. I need to get stronger. I need to just.
train. I need to
It's
destroy."
a
The
lead.
strongest Saiyan of them all.
Fuck those games.
So you
She's
can see that
Vegeta,
both
yeah.
of them get that
She's
singular
Vegeta,
purpose
exactly.
in life.
Oh,
She's
Jesus.
Vegeta, and she's trying to beat Kakarot.
Oh my god. Oh god. Are we saying Ellie is Kakarot in this story? This is a weird comparison.
Yes. Well, what's interesting though, if you think about that, the same the rival mentality, Ellie is a natural killer. Like she learned a lot from Joel, but she didn't have to get yoked or be able to crush a Z's head with her bare hands. She can get through everything with a very slender physique, whereas
Slick.
the one who tries way too hard
Oh, she choked
is
out.
just is yoked.
Oh yeah,
Like,
with
blows on his
Chop the heads off. Like, oh god,
I go to the gym, eat burrito with 3 bites.
and the funny thing is like it might seem like making fun, but like legitimately, I think we fell in love with that fact of Abby. Like all of
Oh my
us,
god, yes.
like we had a separate chat that we would go through. Like as we finished the episodes, we'd be like, "Why the fuck do I like her? Like why? Like I shouldn't like her." I mean, except for Natalie, who was like, "Abs the best from day one. Abs, fuck Ellie. She's the enemy. I don't like her." It's like,
Yeah.
it's such a switch.
God.
But she's
I
so
love her
badass and
immediately.
she's like inspiring. And like when you start to learn her story and how it's like so similar to Ellie's, but like she has that relationship with Owen that I thought was like a very unique one, because I actually thought Owen was kind of boring at the beginning. He was just like so just there. He's like thrown in as a love interest to like, well, she you know, she's there. She likes a guy, you know. But then as he started to lose his like faith in humanity and just like decide that like WLF is bullshit. Why have I been fighting this entire time? What's my purpose? Why do I keep
Right.
killing people? And then he's like, I'm just leaving. I'm going. I want to go
Yeah.
back for my purpose. And like, she can't let that go. Their relationship is so contentious and interesting, but you can tell that he loves her more than he ever loved Mel,
Mhm.
the worst
Like he
character
settled
in the
for
game.
Mel.
Can we all agree Mel is the worst character in the game? She's just so boring.
It's
absolutely.
really interesting. I've seen a ton of bashing on the characters and like this character's trait is this one defining thing, and this character's trait is this one defining thing. I really think the only
Jesse.
character
Jesse.
that had
Asian.
that was well, no, I think the only character that really had that was Mel. Her
That's true.
only like her defining character trait was she was the other woman.
Or okay,
Yeah.
I'll give her three. She was a doctor. She's pregnant, and she was the other woman.
Surgeon.
But yeah,
and
she
they
was.
they threw in a line about her being a student of Abby's father who could create a cure.
But it was
So-
more like she had like such a weird like disgust of Abby from
Mhm.
day one that I was like, I think as I started to like Abby, I started to dislike Mel, and it's like interesting how you start hating her enemies.
Yeah.
She's the one that
Like where
stopped
that
her.
started? Where Mel's hatred started? Did they ever talk about that? I don't think they did, right?
No, not really. Like they don't really die. She's the only character that doesn't get fleshed out in some meaningful way. Like even like characters like Lev and Lev's sister like get more interesting backstory. Whereas like Mel is kind of just she's there.
With Yara.
Yeah, Yara. That's right. I apologize. I couldn't remember all of the names. The 35,000 characters they introduced. They're all interesting and unique, and I hate it. It makes it so hard for me to
Mel
remember
could be
them all.
one of
Except
the
for Mel.
like simplest
Yeah, except for Mel.
answers where it is just that dynamic of, well, this is Abby is my baby daddy's best friend, you know, and he's obviously still in love with her.
And I think that's
Like,
part of the reason
and-
why he like is attracted to her, right? Like she's boring. She's simple. She
Yeah.
doesn't want all the things that Abby wants. She's the
Right.
opposite of Abby. Slender,
She's
simple.
not training for murder.
She's training to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
she's
shit! Is there
anti-hero.
symbolism there?
It's
Fuck.
literally the opposite.
God damn it!
Wow.
Fuck you guys and your smart ass writing.
Maybe
Bringing life, not
so
taking
maybe we
life.
were wrong.
Literally bringing life, not taking life.
Yeah.
Nah, end it all.
What's your favorite moment with Abby?
Oh, God.
That's tough. It's a lot of the game. She has
Yeah.
more time than Ellie in the game, I think.
When she, oh, dude, no, hands down, the best part with Abby was when she looks at Lev and says, "You're my people."
Yes.
Oh fuck me, man.
Oh God, that was
Like,
yeah.
She was like,
What,
"No, dude, I'm over. Like, you're my people. You're the good person. You're here. Like, I've seen
You're killing your
shit this-
people. Lev, you're my
Mhm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a person I like.
Mhm.
I've turned around. That
yeah,
is
no,
a-
like at that point, I was like, "Oh, damn it, I can't hate her anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I can't."
I
Now,
officially no longer wanted to see the finale that I knew was coming. Like I no longer wanted to see Ellie come for Abby. I felt like we had justified both of them having happiness.
I
Like-
thought we were going to have a choice to choose who did you want to play as, Abby or Ellie.
Could you
And
imagine?
you just have two different.
I
And I would
thought
have
that.
loved to have seen the stat
Terrible.
of like how many people chose what. Like,
Yeah,
would it be 50-50? Would people lean more towards Abby because they played her more during this game, or were
My
people
question
more
would
loyal
be-
to Ellie?
My only question would be is like was that because that had to have been talked about, right? Like in the development, they had to have been like, well, this would be really cool. But somebody had to be like, either scope is not possible. We can't build two versions of this game, like for like the last 5 hours, or they were like, no, we want you to go through with it. And so it's like I don't know which one would have been more powerful because it was rough to be in that fight scene.
I think the choice that they
God.
made was more powerful because you hated doing it. Like
Oh,
every
absolutely.
time Ellie like really just beat the
Fuck.
crap out of someone, you hated it.
And a part of me
So
didn't
I
want Ellie to die either. They put me in like an awful
Right.
conundrum. I didn't want
Yeah.
her to go, so it's like I fought because I fought for my life. But I guess it's like that's the world. Like that's what we're living in. Is like this world doesn't give a shit. You just have to do some things that are going to be horrible to survive.
think
Well,
that's
when
what-
she started walking towards the other boat, I was like, "Thank God! Like, we don't have to do this. We don't." She's like letting it go, but then flashback, turn around, we're doing this. Oh, and then she put the knife. Oh,
Oh, and the knife to
So
Lev.
that last
I
scene,
know.
I'm
Poor
pretty
Lev.
sure as soon as like she saw Abby up on the pillar and like went to go cut her down and was like, "No, we're doing this." I think I gasped, and then didn't breathe for like
oh God, yeah.
another 7 minutes.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, I didn't realize I was holding my breath for a long time while that whole end scene, just seeing the bodies hanging there. I was like,
Oh,
"Is she already
Oh.
gone? Like, there's no way she's already gone. Like, there's no way."
And then when
I
you
was-
saw the like chick on up there with the braid, and you're like, "There
Yep.
she
I
is."
thought-
Yep.
And then,
I-
oh fuck,
Yep.
it wasn't her.
yeah,
And
no,
then you
that
saw the
fucked me up. That
amputated-
fucked me up. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that looks just like it's not Abby. Okay, whew. And then I thought I was good, and then I turned the corner, and you're like, one of you said in chat like that looks like Lev. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Turn to my right, and
Yeah.
there's Abby, and I'm like,
I was gonna say they could have done that to make it a for sure. Like, choose Abby or Ellie. Is if you look up and Lev is one of the dead people on the pillars, and Abby is just like she has nothing else to go for. She's like, "Fuck it, you or me." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's a good way
So
to make
what's
it like here
couldn't have
and
done
now.
that, man.
what's
Don't
super
kill Lev.
interesting and a little bit of foreshadowing in the game that I kind of suspected when it happened, but wasn't really sure about it. When Abby gets down from the pillar, the first thing she does, she acknowledges that, oh, that's the woman that's probably here to kill me. I need to go save Lev.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The second you see that because at this point we haven't seen Abby for months
Yeah.
because she's been imprisoned and whatnot.
Not
Oh,
till
You
the
see
DLC,
that
at least.
huge amount of character progression. She's no longer focused on murder. She's not, all of that training, all of the trauma that she would probably force herself through to become a stronger person was out the window. The only thing she cared about was helping her friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of her realized the moment she killed Joel that wasn't the relief she wanted. She had to
Right.
still go back to her life and see it all in pieces. Like that, everything she'd given up was the things that she should have been fighting for. And so it's like her story is more about her redeeming herself for fucking up and making an unconscionable act, an act that like you can't forgive. Like it was so bad that Owen and Mel lost faith in her in that scene. Like you could see them die a little bit inside when she kept going. Like, and Owen's like, you have to fucking end this, you know, and like he's the only one that was like on the level with her, I think. Manny, obviously, he was a little bit just of an angry guy and was probably kind of numb in his life, but yeah, it was an interesting thing to see her kind of full circle be like, I gave it up. Like, you have to give it up too. Like, and straight up tell her, don't follow me. Don't come for me. If you come for me, just don't come for me. She doesn't even threaten her. She's just like, just don't come for me. Like, and I'm like, it's crazy.
And then seeing Ellie follow the same footsteps where she
can't let it go.
destroyed the life that she could have had just so she can try and kill Abby.
I want to get into like
back and it's gone.
I want to get into like the philosophical like concept of like what she has left at the very end, but I don't want to do it yet. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this. This ending scene is like very, very insane, and it leaves so many questions, probably more questions than answers, but like there's some really good ones to talk about. But I want to circle back to the world because I think a lot of that is like informs why these choices keep getting met, and like just like what they crafted here with how the infected play, like the different factions, like what's left of the city, how the city's been kind of overrun. Like what I found so interesting, especially by choosing Seattle, is that we talked about this during the stream. Like Seattle isn't like a place that rains all the time, but the planet took it back in this version. Like in Last of Us 1, there's some overgrowth, but this is like straight up. The planet was like, fuck you. We're growing. We don't care about your buildings and structures. And this is a whole new world. It's dangerous. It's like raw. And I thought that was like an extra level of danger that we didn't have in previous games. And it really left us with some
flooding.
interesting. I'm
also left
I'm floored.
The virus to evolve too. And so you get new enemies because they've adapted to their environments.
That's
true. The under sewage bloater guys, the in the dark creeper stalker dudes. Dude, fuck those stalker dudes.
And then wasn't it saying that like Seattle was like where it all started?
Yes.
In the hospital was where they brought like the first infected.
Yep.
It's the outbreak point. So this is literally the oldest infected. Like we're in the place with the oldest infected, the oldest people who started banding into groups. Like these are the ones that are so set in their belief systems and ways, and only a handful are trying to get out anymore, right? Like we're still that's why like the world is so interesting.
Going through number 1, it shows like Boston, like they even said that they had a chance. They had some warning before the infection got there. So then they did the quarantine zones, and then that's where you started. And then getting outside the city of people taking over the military.
When there's a rampant disease, you quarantine?
Oh, Lord, hold on.
Sounds very similar to what's going on. How Seattle.
I'm going to do the rest of this with my mask. I'm going to do the rest of this podcast with my mask on. You just got to be careful, guys. Mask up, everyone. But for real, like, it's so... Okay, that's actually a good... The world is too real, I think, is the biggest issue.
I know.
It was like PTSD for me going into it, seeing like, what if we just fucked up a lot more? And like it turned out that the last form of this is they all zombify and come after us. Like we're fucked because I don't want to live in this world.
How a zombie movie starts, so
it's also what, like I said, I liked about this game a lot is that it de-romanticizes the apocalypse. It makes it so that it does not make it appealing to want the world to end. You're like, yeah, you get to fight all these zombies, but if you survive, these are the choices you have to make. These are what you're going to lose.
You're fucked. Every choice is bad.
One thing that,
right.
Exactly.
There's no clear black and white. There's no clear good and evil. Everything's a gray. And no matter what, you are making bad decisions because you have to survive.
That's so true.
But it's always a dark gray. Like it's either bad or worse is your choices. That's not good or bad. It's bad or worse. It's a dark gray.
Fuck. Yeah.
A dark gray.
That's why she was like, "You should have let me die, Joel. Fuck this place."
Yeah, she's like, "I don't want to be here."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it's interesting when because we're talking about the world.
Yeah.
And most of the game takes place in Seattle. And I think we have an interesting opportunity to talk about that because RJ, you currently live in Seattle. Natalie, you're not too far away. I've been there.
I'm probably the newbiest of
I
all
know
of you
that-
guys when it comes to Seattle. So I was like asking questions
Newbiest?
about it. Yeah, the newbiest.
So I know
Wow.
that, of course, it's a video game, so they're going to take some liberties with
Oh yeah.
maybe proportions, sizes, buildings, and whatnot. One of the biggest things that was memorable for me when I went to Seattle was the aquarium. That was probably my favorite place. The Airbnb we stayed at was literally across the street. I think I went there like 3 times in a week because I didn't get enough of it.
Oh, jeez.
Having that be a huge part of the game for
Right.
me, like keep going
Or the
back
Ferris
to it.
wheel.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is like this
The
icon to
Ferris wheel is
keep going
literally
for.
the background on my phone right now
like
from a picture that I took. Yeah. So seeing it like in the water and like all
Mhm.
fucked up was crazy. I couldn't
Mhm.
imagine like with Natalie and RJ, you guys live in Washington. What was that like for you?
Well, it was funny actually because I actually walked into the office yesterday, and so I walked by Pike's Place, and I was just like, "Oh, this is going to shit soon."
That building's fucked. That building's fucked. It's like
I've always spent too many hours watching the stream of Last of Us 2, but I was just like, God, that watching like the 5 and the courthouses and the hospitals. I'm like, this is so surreal. Like the freeway entrances are right. Like if I turn around, you could probably see what it looks like. It's
Yeah.
it was so cool. Like there's so many
Does it
times where you
look
look
the
at that and
same?
I'm like, I wonder if my building is there. Like, go to my building.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna wave at you real quick. Let me know when you're stopping by.
yeah. They did a really
there'd
good
be so
job from
many-
what I could tell.
Yeah.
There'd be so many times where Keith would like look up at the buildings, and I'd be like, I feel like I've seen that. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I've stood in that exact spot before. Or like when Abby was on the stacked freeway, the 2-level freeway, and going through that, like I've driven over that.
That was actually kind of cool. That whole sequence
Well,
was really
also-
great.
Because
Yeah, right after the ship.
since I do live in downtown, and during all this quarantine stuff, I've walked around downtown while it's been empty, and it's
Mhm.
so funny
Eerie.
seeing a game that looks so similar to what I've seen already, but with
Mhm.
overgrown like life taking over. It was
Mhm.
really, really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed like what that is. And to take that one step, I mean, not only did they nail the look, obviously the graphics are like unfucking believable in this game. They're so good that it like you stop thinking about it a little. Well, I never stopped thinking about the lighting, but I will.
The
Guys,
lighting.
never-
Like for
lighting? Oh
fuck's
my
sake, man! I'm
God.
just like, do you see the fucking lighting though?
Guys,
Like, right
Guys,
off
the
her
lighting.
cheek, like the
Look
skin,
at
you
the
can see it.
sunshine,
Anyway.
man.
You guys, do you see the dust particles? Do you see the beam?
It doesn't come
The
through though.
full 3D
doesn't-
modeled dust particles.
I talked about that shit so much. I get so like geeky out about. I geek out a little bit too much about video
I feel
game
you.
graphics.
I was feeling the
but
same way. I was looking at like the zipper flinging up and down on her
the
hoodie, and like
fuck?
small of that, just
Or their free moving hair. Or like
Yeah.
how their hair would actually react the way it should.
the dilation of the pupils. It's so subtle, but when you look
Mhm.
you look for it, you notice it. You look for it every time, and it's just so real. When it's what makes their Naughty Dog such a
Oh,
great.
To just touch
One of the-
everything.
One of the
Yeah.
biggest, I'm going to say one of the largest small details that I noticed was the facial expressions on the characters, even though you're not looking at them.
Yeah.
They're still
They're
making
always doing
expressions. And then in the end of the game,
Oh, fuck.
when you return to the cabin or the house that Ellie and Dina had put together, Ellie refuses to look directly at a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
I
very
like
notable
literally was like, I
because
want to
in
see
the
what her face
previous-
says. Fuck.
In the previous episode, just before Ellie decides that she's going to go to California to Santa Barbara to find Abby and put an end to it, I remember Keith taking Ellie and looking in the mirror and be like, "Oh my god, look, she has all sorts of faces and shit."
Yeah.
And we're like, "Hey, cool, funny, ha ha ha, that's cool, good job, Naughty Dog." And then the fact
Yeah.
that we randomly ended up back in that same spot later and
Mhm.
looked, and your camera would pan here, but Ellie would be looking this way.
You used
Mhm.
to look.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That
Oh,
was
man.
crazy. And like part of that, like you really feel the emotion of everything she's been through. And Like she knows she fucked up.
The detail I didn't notice until I rewatched an episode, because even I've gone back and rewatched some damn episodes because it takes too long to play. I'm trying to. I am doing it. I'm playing it again. But is after she fights Abby, she loses 2 fingers in that fight, and they're the fret hand fingers, so she can't play the full notes on the fucking guitar.
Right.
So not only did she lose so much, we're gonna get into more, but I'm just saying, like, she lost so much, but she lost her ability to fully play guitar.
Wait,
Did you
so
notice though when
in
you
part
hit
of the
the chord?
stream, you pull.
You can play,
when
you
she
play
gets
the
back to
guitar,
house,
but
you
she
pull
doesn't
out
play
the guitar.
She doesn't play the whole song though. She can't finish the song. She can't play the full notes.
Mhm.
She can't play the whole thing. And
That's why it was cut short. Okay.
Yeah, that's why she only played like just the beginning
I
of
didn't
it.
even think about that.
When you watch her try to get the chords that it involves the other 2 fingers, you can kind of see a small like crease in her eyebrows. Like I said, the small details that they do just to make it so like that, just realistic little touches. It's just
Jesus.
just I think it's also just as a you went to film school and I was an artist, so like it's just those little touches I appreciate so much. It's just like
I focus on those. I converted Jake into that too because I talked through movies too much. I think I do that for most people.
We had to see movies like 3 times for me to get everything.
was also part of talking.
Oh man, my mom says hello to 4 of my favorite people. Anyway, just want to let you know she's watching. Thanks, Mom.
Another one.
Hey.
We're about to talk about some real messed up things. You should go.
So the sex scene.
Yeah.
Oh God, but for real. Since we're talking about the world, how about that sex scene? I'm just kidding.
Slightly related, less graphic. The sailboat in general, I thought was a really cool concept for a very, at the time, empty seeming character to have. With Owen being just kind of like the guy that's there, that's interested, that you're gonna shrug off all the time. Having him end up with such a fleshed out character and like, I'm going to rebuild this boat and we're going to go to Santa Barbara and meet up with the other Fireflies and have a life and blah, blah, blah. I thought that was really cool. And then from that point on, every scene that involved the boat was very emotional. Whether it was Ellie raiding it to find out where exactly her mark was, or just the conversations that they had in the boat. The first time Ellie gets into it while it's still in the aquarium and finds like a teddy bear or whatever, I think it was, and like, oh, maybe there was a family here.
The promise that it kind of like lingers over it, like that Owen kind of is like trying to build this thing that maybe Abby will like latch onto instead of her anger. And it's like it's this lingering thing. You're like, maybe Abby will just give this fucking up, you know, just like we wanted Ellie to do, but it takes her a little too long. And everyone close to her dies except for Lev. Every single person.
I think the problem with that mentality that no one has is I don't know how other people think about it, but I know a lot of guys, when they have a midlife crisis, what do? They start a project, or they buy a car or something. They have a thing to put their frustration into, or to use. You know, some guys will go out and buy a bunch of guns or whatever, or take up a new hobby. And his hobby was the boat. I haven't seen, just in my personal experience, a woman take that extreme with like a midlife crisis type thing. So again, Natalie, I saw your head bob. I'm just my experience.
Shots
I'm
fired.
sure it happens. I'm sure it
Wait,
happens.
no, I'm confused. Like,
how many women go out and buy a sports car?
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay,
that's what we're
midlife
talking
crisis.
about.
You're saying that we don't do the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
No, we're too busy raising the kids, so it's all good.
Yeah, thanks.
Just taking care of all of the important shit.
Right.
Everything else, you know, you guys go have fun.
Keeping the
That's
world
fine.
from fucking ending. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
Rolling fucking lives here.
Jesus. But no, I get what you're saying. Like that project becomes so important to him, and like, I don't know. There's a part of Abby that just kind of like brushes it off, like this is another thing he's doing, you know, but doesn't realize like, no, this is like the last bit he has to stay alive. Like if he had gotten that finished, if she hadn't pushed on, if she hadn't got, like they might have gotten away and gone down to Santa Barbara and pursued that. but this world doesn't give a fuck. And
Okay,
when she
so-
finally pursues that,
Well, and then
What
you
the
think
fuck
about it, what
happens?
if they did make it down to Santa Barbara and see what happened to her?
both of them
anyway?
get enslaved. Like, great.
Owen
Okay,
probably
so
like, yeah.
speaking on that,
What if that
speaking
would have
on
happened anyway?
Speaking on that, another thing we talked about, like the grayness of everyone, having not just black and white, the grayness. I think another theme here is also moving back, going backwards. Living in the past fucks you up.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who's trying to move forward, they were doing fine. Once they started going back, everyone
Everything.
starts getting killed.
Mhm.
Whole
So
life
true.
turns to shit.
My mom says,
Jesse was like, we gotta go back. She's pregnant. We gotta take her home. I can't. I gotta say, guess what? Guy who wants to move forward, pop.
yeah, oh
He
my
done.
god.
Oh
Manny
my
goes on
God.
one fucking
Oh,
mission
man.
with Abby. One fucking
Yep.
mission. Boom, dead. Instantly.
Well, that was just-
Every single person. That's the same thing that Ellie, every person that Ellie brings along, except
That's
for
what I'm
Dina,
saying.
who just like miraculously makes it. Like, honestly, I don't know
Right.
how she
Ellie
makes. She's a
and Abby.
miracle.
Both of them.
Well, it's 'cause she was
living
actually
in
a
the
character.
past
Yeah.
that everyone killed.
What was that?
But
RJ, you
just
broke
having
up
you
for a
as
second.
Abby when you're coming up to that scene
Yeah.
where Jesse, like, I thought that you were going to actually have to line it up, the shot, and kill him yourself. And I'm like, I don't know how he's going to do this. Like,
I couldn't do that.
But
I couldn't
granted,
do that to you,
Abby-
RJ. I know how much you connected with him, and you were like, "Nah,
Oh my god. Yeah.
nah."
No.
He was
Oh, God.
he was such a hunk. Why do you kill him? Why do you kill him?
right?
So what's
He's so
interesting is Jesse gets a lot of hate online for just being like his character is the baby daddy and that's his only trait. But if you look at like everything that he's actually done,
He's
done a
the
lot
kind of, he's like the almost the parental character compared to these two. Dina and Ellie are so immature. They're so immature.
Yeah.
He was also Joel's protege.
Mhm.
Like,
No one. Yeah, you don't even get much of that, but he does mention it. Yeah.
he mentions it, like, Joel is his like mentor, and like
Mm.
Joel even says later, like, he's taken on Jesse as kind of like a young protege guy, and it's just like he's not just that, he's also Dina's ex-lover who still cares about her, baby daddy, all that, but he's connected to everyone who's involved, and so he's not just there to save the day, he's trying to make sure that he doesn't lose anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good point.
Well, and he's kind of like also how you were saying where Owen was like looking towards the future and trying to
Yep.
move forward into life instead of
Exactly.
looking only in the past. That's Ellie's version, he was trying to move
Yep.
forward. He had a kid on the way, he wanted to see it, be born. So
The interesting thing though, and you see it a little bit at the end, is like Dina's parents stay close with Dina, or not Dina. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
his parents, Jesse's parents, stay
Yeah,
close
his-
with Dina
yeah.
because of their grandchild, obviously. But no, I think that, and this will be said by haters forever, is like that this is lazy writing. But Jesse dies so soon, and he's so like he's introduced. You kind of get like a bit of like coolness to him, and then suddenly like the only choice that I kind of disagreed with was Jesse just like inherently going off, just letting Ellie go off on her own direction, because like truly I like, as the character that I've learned about him, he would not have done that, not a second time. He did that once and Joel died, and like, so that's the only thing I personally disagreed with. Like, I think he probably would have like fought harder. Maybe she would have like snuck away or something like that, but I probably would have fought that a little bit harder. But in terms of his character, he just dies too early for you to like really flesh him out. Like, you could have learned more about him. I think there's more to him, but we didn't get a chance to learn as much about him. Like Manny dies so quickly, you barely know anything about him. He says pendejo like one time over Joel's body and spits on him, and like, I fucking hate him. Like, so it's like I didn't even like him when Abby ran back into him. I was like, fuck this guy.
Yep.
It meant nothing that he died at the end of it.
The
But
entire stream, I was like, fuck this Manny guy, I'm over
you
him.
did the whole
First
time.
time you see him, you do that to Joel? Nope. Zero fucks.
That is kind of
I
shitty.
just
That's
love
like
seeing
so
how
shitty,
easy
spitting
Abby
on a
just,
dead guy.
threw him.
Yep.
Abby fucking tosses motherfuckers. Like,
I know. And then I watched like Joel try and lift like Ellie in the first game, and he's just like,
he's struggling.
and then there's like Abby. like,
Abby's chucking people.
I don't think we would say that that Joel is a weak dude. He chokes out like a billion guys in the first game, like, and just like with his
Oh, yeah.
bare hands. Takes a little longer. Abby can do it in like 2 seconds. Like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
but no, she straight up makes all the men around her look weak. And
Yeah.
I do like that they
God, I love her
showed the
so
gym
much.
that she did it in. It made it more believable. It showed that the WLF have like a legit encampment, because it would be hard. Some people are like, how did she get buff? I'm like, well, I mean, it's a fucked up life. People get buff, but like, it would be hard without proper like nutrition mixed with like the right facilities. But she straight had both of those. Consuming
Absolutely.
burritos, working out on the daily, having sex with Owen behind Mel's back. You know, I mean, like all these things are going to get you ripped, especially with the abs, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure Owen got ripped having sex with abs.
I don't know if Owen
one
did any of the
time.
work, bro. There's some
Oh,
shit
no.
pagan going on behind closed doors.
So for real though, a lot of people give
Hi,
that scene
Mom.
crap. I've seen quite a few memes where
Oh, Lord.
it's redrawn as two guys. Like,
Mm.
to me, that's probably one of the most disrespectful things you can do to this character.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, sure, she's buff as shit. Sure, she's probably more of a tomboy or more of a man than I am. I don't care. That's great. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I've spent a lot of time at a gym, and it is hard to look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
to
She's
have
an
that
Adonis.
amount of dedication is amazing. And I don't know. I feel like if someone can't appreciate that just because it's on a woman, then they're probably a sexist fuck.
Oh, totally.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
She was sexy as hell. She was sexy as hell. I don't give a
Oh,
damn.
yeah.
Like personally, it
Them
worked for me.
thighs.
That being
Oh,
said,
no,
I
look-
might have been slightly afraid of her. That's totally okay
No,
too. I think Owen
More
felt the
attractive
same
the
way.
same way.
There's some love there,
More-
though. You know, that's what
How
matters.
Dylan feels all the time. So.
Dylan.
He gets turned on when he's scared. Is that what you just said?
His face. Oh,
Yeah.
this is great. So this is the world. Let's move on to one other topic that I wanted to touch on, and it does look like we're gonna just keep pushing time. I have no idea. We started at 8:30. We're about to an hour already. It's kind of a mix of both things, but I wanted to kind of compare the difference between like the encounters with the infected versus the humans, and I also wanted to talk about some of the horror elements. So like, let's start with I found there was a lot of difference between how I felt fighting infected and how I felt fighting humans. Like I was scared of the infected, but the humans made me sick. Like it made me actually like hate the stuff I was
brutal.
doing. Like the dogs, the people, like the way they call out each other's names. Like one of them was like Derek. Like after I killed Derek, like
wanna
that's I
talk
killed
about-
Derek.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, this guy's name was Derek.
Yeah.
It's never the same thing. It's never always Derek. It's like
Yeah.
West, Frank, or it's
Yeah.
always different. And it was the fact that they would say a specific person's name, a specific person went down. It's just like, but also like you said, the killings, they made that brutal on purpose. Like I said, they wanted to de-romanticize it. They wanted to make it look like it's not fun to go around killing people.
And they
Which is
made
just
it-
like such a
by
new
just
thing.
throwing out the
Yeah.
names, they made them actually people, not just NPCs.
Yes,
that you kill in the game.
yes.
Like in
Yes,
games, I've
exactly.
seen them have conversations before, and like I've seen people like
Mhm.
talk to each other. They're always talking about the subject though that you're doing. Like you're on a mission. Oh, we
Right.
really got to guard this building here. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I know. I hate the bitch at the top is making me do this. You know, it's like that kind of stuff. The grunt talk. You know, it's like
This boss needs to be signed
the
by
classic
someone.
Star Wars stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard the new TCX 100 came out, and blah 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 blah. Oh, really? They released that already? It's about time.
in this one, they're like, oh yeah, no. How's your son? What the
Yeah.
fuck? I gotta kill
Yeah.
him.
Are you still talking
Right?
to that chick at the other camp? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you hitting her up? Yeah, man,
Oh.
she's beautiful, man. I'm jealous. Like what the fuck? This is shit that like I'd say to my friends, and she just killed me. Like she just killed me
Right.
in my real life. I'm just walking around
Except
doing my
when you
job.
heard all the Seraphites. And then
Yeah.
you're like, kill these cultists. Like,
Okay, the Seraphites. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of remorse for them. They fucked up Lev, and immediately I was like, I'm off. Whatever,
Right.
whatever weird cult thing you're
Right.
in.
oh,
Seraphites
God, I was
were
so
more
scared for
enemies
Abby when they
to
got
me.
her strung up. Oh,
Watching
They were
the battle that took place in their
That was a
home
fucking rough
was
scene.
insane.
that
It was almost
that
like
made me feel
watching
bad though.
like an anime movie or
Yeah.
something like that of like
Attack
a
on Titan.
samurai village burning. It was crazy.
And I just couldn't believe the WLF like attack worked so effectively. Like, it was so fucked up. They're just like, we're gonna kill them all. Like,
Well, they're
we're
all
tired of these
cabins.
skirmishes. We're gonna kill them
Yeah.
all. I mean, it's the right move.
Molotov
like,
cocktails. That's all you need.
strategically. Yeah. I mean, they built their buildings out of sticks, man. What did they think were gonna happen? Like,
Well, and then you find out the reason why they're fighting each other again, and the accord was broken was because the wolves killed some of the Seraphite kids. Like,
fucked up, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
This whole world is a
Yeah.
bunch of people making bad decisions, and
Yeah.
everyone is paying the price for those bad decisions from the top.
right?
It shows you what happens when leadership comes out of desperation rather than like planned. Like, when you just pick the first guy that's the loudest, you're gonna get fucked because like you have no idea if that guy's any good at this. Like, what if they're just an angry asshole? And that's really what we got from Isaac. He was just an asshole. He just wanted to fucking kill everyone.
But I do love the actor.
What's interesting
great
is with a character like Isaac's, like regardless of how he got to his position, if you look at all of the decisions he made, he was decisive, but not in like an angry, I'm just being a dick manner.
cold.
He looked at his people and said, the best option for my people to survive is for us to not have human enemies.
Cold
We've
logic.
tried being friends before and it didn't work. They have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a very cold, calculated decision.
Who was
but
the
again,
character?
very cold.
Who was the character? I know somebody said it, and I don't remember who said it. Said it midway through the game, somewhere in the 35 hours. I like Infected because they're predictable. I can't remember who says it.
God.
Somebody fucking says that, and I'm like, it's a really
Yeah.
good point. That's what Isaac looked at the Infected. It's like, they're predictable. I know what they're gonna do. I know exactly how they're gonna approach me. I know when they're gonna attack. I know all of these things. Humans are not predictable. They do things irrationally and impulsively. It's an example of what Isaac did to all of the Seraphites. Fucked up their island.
Right. Right.
And frankly, it's like, yeah, humans fucking suck, man. We really suck. Like, we're better as Infected.
Yep.
But that's kind of it. Like the enemies in this game were so interesting because they were smart. Like, they figured me out. Like, the dogs really fucked with me. I hated it because like I wasn't better than the dogs, so I had to kill them. That was honestly the issue. It's like I wasn't a better sneaker than the dogs were at finding me, so I was like, well, I'm gonna have to do this because I want to get to the next scene. Otherwise, I'm just gonna die a billion times. So I hated that I had to do that. I made that decision because I was inferior to them, but like at the same time, they're going to lose because I just have more weapons. Like, that's all it really was.
It's
the way the
opposable thumbs.
Yeah, I was
really
just
the
gonna
only thing is
say.
I can build things that blow them up when they sniff me out. It's bullshit, but I did it every time. That hurt every single time I did it. There's only one time where the game actually forces you to kill a dog, and it's just a cutscene. There's only one time I found out, and it turns out that I murdered like so many, like, and I feel so bad. But yeah, only one time. I could have avoided so many, but
It was Alice, wasn't it?
it was Alice.
It was Alice.
or a
You
bear.
murdered Alice.
Yeah, it was one of the other. Yeah, it was one of the two. I can't remember what it was. Alice or Bear. I don't remember which one.
Alice.
Alice. Fuck.
It was
okay.
Alice. I remember. It was
And
at
it
the
has a
aquarium.
name. Of course, the dog has a name. Fuck me.
And you played
And
fetch
then you
with
got to
Alice.
play fetch. Yeah, I was just gonna say you were
Abby
talking
and Lev played fetch with Alice.
I gotta go, guys.
Fatter.
I gotta go, guys. I can't deal with the weight of my decisions. Oh, my mom is hitting me with these comments, guys. I don't even want to read them. They're so good.
Oh, I wish I could see him. Where's she commenting on?
Well, she said she's on Facebook. She said women don't have midlife crises, which I kind of believe.
That's what I thought.
And she said that
Thanks,
Isaac sounded
yeah.
like Trump. So there you go. We got some
Right.
some
I know.
opinions. We're
He
not
was-
going to get too into them.
Isaac
there
would
you
be
go.
so. Then Allison, I think Isaac would be a better comparison to Mattis, General Mattis.
Yeah, just like
He's very much.
really
Here's my job. It needs to get done.
Yeah.
Gritty.
gritty.
Do it.
Got to do it. Yep,
Yep.
I agree. Anyway, I don't want to compare it to the real world because it's already too real. It hurts too much. Let's talk about the infected and the horror elements because I think they're both the same thing. The
I love
infected
this so
were
much.
terrifying in this game.
Yes.
I was
When we
holding my
got-
breath every time. Oh my god.
What is it, part 8? I think it is, like the hotel scene. When you just go through all these levels of this fucking infected ass hotel, like, or apartment complex, whatever it is. It's that skyscraper.
Yeah.
And they're popping out of the fucking walls, man.
Well, and what's
Yes.
crazy is like you'll see a stalker go by in a corner, and you're like, okay, cool. When I go around this corner, there's going to be a stalker on the left, and you go around the corner and you look for it, and you're waiting for it, and it jumps out and attacks you, and it still scares the fucking shit out of you.
Yeah. Every time I pooped a little bit.
So I puckers my butthole a lot.
It buckets my butthole.
It does.
Usually people have the opposite reaction when you're in danger. They kind of
They loosen it. See, I don't pucker it. I lost it all.
You gotta sit on the bucket then.
Right. You need a bidet for your computer check.
Oh. Yeah, we're not going to talk about bidets, but that's good.
Just play a game. Okay. Click. Nice.
But honestly, that episode specifically, it was like 2.5 hours or something like that of like just non-stop tension. And it was like, I wasn't expecting it because the game hadn't done that up until then, but I truly was like, my heart rate had to be in the hundreds, and I was freaking out the whole time. I just remember the whole time. Yeah, dude. Like playing it with the hands on the sticks. Like every time I knew something was going to happen, it still didn't matter. Like it was like they're so gross looking. They're so unexpected. They move differently every time you play them. So like I would die, and then I would try a different strategy because I knew that the movement that they were going to do was this. Didn't fucking work. I died like 5 times in one area just because like they just kept changing their goddamn movements, and I'm like, what is this? Yeah. It was the was it the Stalkers? Is that what they're called?
Stalkers, yeah.
They're the most like scary base enemy, basically.
My favorite was like about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes into part 5, I think. After we were fucking with you when you were trying to get the safe that first time. and then you get ambushed when you go on that workbench by those dudes.
Fuck off. That part scared the shit out of me. Yeah, I knew it was going to happen too.
I was watching on my phone, so I was doing this, watching, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, like my phone, I had to like catch it again because it scared the shit out of me. And then
I like how my screen just went slow-mo when he did that.
Great. Perfect. I'm glad. I hope the stream caught that. But and then also like a couple minutes later was I think the first time you saw the Stalkers, and that shit was crazy. Like you'd be watching them and like they'd be hiding. I'm like, are they fucking hiding? What the hell are they doing? And
they were like outsmarting me.
They go around to another corner and like, what? Are they sentient now? What's happening?
I just
the dudes in the walls.
Well, and those are Stalkers. That's the worst part. Like, not only are they hiding in a fucking spore thing, which always in the first game and most of the second game, they're just cool things to look at. You're like, that's terrifying looking. Great, we're in an alien movie.
I wouldn't say cool, but
yeah, obviously it's still scary as shit. But like, they don't move. They don't come off the wall. They don't come off the wall, and then these ones come off the wall. And sometimes it's
and it's crazy because
they don't even look the same.
Some of them prior, you would like see the limbs. You would see the feet, and then when it came to them popping out, it's like you didn't know those limbs.
Yeah, I think it was worse in the vents because in the vents you couldn't see limbs; you just see just spores, and all of a sudden, fucking just comes at you.
Fuck off, game. Welcome to the stream, Fernando. Thank you for watching. No. And then obviously we can't talk about the infected. Oh, hi, fireworks. That's the great. We're getting close to the 4th of July.
Fireworks, or is it just Arizona?
Yep, it's okay, baby.
Okay,
it's okay, puppy.
Shut up. You're true. No, but for real though, we can't not talk about Rat King. That's what they call him in the game, by the way. I found out that he has a name. The giant amalgamation of like a billion different infected.
Okay, the fact that this giant golem of infected mashed together was so pissed off at you for disturbing its hibernation that its leg decided to rip itself off and come after you separately.
Yeah.
But I seriously, when you got into the garage, I thought it escaped. I thought you had released it out into Seattle, and then that was going to be your next big mission. Was saving
nothing Seattle. Nothing like channeling an inner Spider-Man comic book. Like right there is like, it escaped into the city. You must chase it down.
Yes.
No, it wasn't even that fun. You just have to fight it literally the next goddamn room. Oh, you don't even get 12 minutes to yourself in a terrifying, dank underbelly of a hospital.
But you just like go into that ambulance and then you find what you need and you put it in your pack and then you're like, the fuck was that? What's
And-
outside that window?
As he's like stomping the fuck around in that room with the water wading up to your ankles, and I'm just like, I'm shitting myself. Like literally the whole time, I'm terrified. Like I'm shaking. I can't even figure out what to do. Like I'm fucked. So I'm gonna run and run and run, and you don't know how long it's gonna take. You just hope for the fucking best that bullets are doing something, because it doesn't seem like they are. It really doesn't.
When it died, I was like, "Oh, it died." I didn't think it would. I didn't think it.
And then I was
it
like,
died, and then you had to kill its leg.
Yeah, but literally, that part I was like, maybe it just died when I killed the master. Like, of course, maybe I'm just like, and then I see it crawl away, and I'm like, like that shit was terrifying.
Like a Resident Evil thing where like you know, down it the first time, and then he'd come back again, more evolved, and then you down it again, come back again, more evolved, and then down it again, come back, and he somehow has wings, and he's a dinosaur.
Oh, a rival system in this game would have been terrible.
God, fuck
I mean,
off.
terrible by terrifying is what I mean.
But the only thing is, like, I'm glad they didn't play it up too much, because, like, story-wise, it would have derailed a lot of what we had going on. But, like, at the same time, it was super fun. It was like the most gamey thing I had in that game, where like legitimately I was like, this is a boss fight. Let's go. Also,
I like when she was done with it and she was like, no one's going to believe me.
Yeah.
And that was it.
No one's going to believe me.
No one's going to believe me. And that was it.
Because it,
like,
I couldn't even believe what I played.
How up that world is, though, is like, you know what? It's just, you know what? No one's going to believe you. Not even just like, can you believe that? And you're just like, no one's gonna believe that shit, and just move on. Like just another day in this fuckhole.
Like straight up, she fought the most badass thing ever.
Yeah.
When she had to turn the generator on, and then
the worst part is you know it's gonna come out. You know it's like this beautiful foreshadowing. The whole lead up, you're like, well, there's infected. What the fuck is behind that?
Right.
You're like, oh great, they're all powered.
Back around the corner and you see the door burst. It like.
And it's just like this cavern where it used to exist, and it's all gunky
and then
and
it just
wet.
Like barrel through a hallway. Oh god!
And then you go into the underground, and you're like, oh, it's not here. How the fuck did it get out? Okay, well, I guess I released it. End of that concept. And then I'm in the ambulance, and I'm like, I'm fucked. Yep, I'm fucked. Great. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh god! I was like, go Keith, go to the window, kick out the door, go.
So I think this was a lot scarier than the first game. This was a legitimately like had horror elements. It wasn't the whole game, but a lot of it was terrifying, and like that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Well, the infected were more evolved too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had more time to evolve. Where in this, I pointed my TV. In number one, you know, it is more of the seeing the human aspect of it and how evil humanity can turn into.
Yeah, it's like the changing into the world.
Taken away.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even like not even just like the dark scenes and like the vents, like the tight places, the claustrophobia stuff. There is like the beginning where you play as Abby and you're running and you first meet Joel. Like that whole scene with her in that fence.
Oh fuck!
I was like hyperventilating watching her crawl through that fence and seeing those arms come through and like. And you know, and then later when they're driving and they're chasing you when you're driving too, you're just like, it's a chase scene, here we go. And you know, it's more just adrenaline pumping and more times where I'm just like, I'm holding my breath, and just like, oh, okay, you're good.
Yeah. Credit to them. Like they really did an incredible job. I mean, the graphics help a lot.
Yeah.
Like it being that good looking, like makes you not feel like it's fake. Like it feels like you're there, and like obviously, thank goodness I'm only holding a controller and I'm not in this world. And it does kind of like that was the only like heroic kind of moment it felt. And they even like downplayed that by having her say like, no one's gonna fucking believe me.
Yeah.
Just shows you how much of a blip that is. It doesn't even matter. It's so cool.
Yeah.
You just killed the biggest, baddest fucking infected in the world. And you're gonna walk on with your day. That's just a Tuesday.
Right.
That's day 3.
And that just
move on.
proved even more how badass Abby is.
And isn't that the same day where she goes back and finds out Owen's dead? So there you go. Present for her, or was it the day before? I can't even remember.
No, that's the day before.
Okay,
because
so there's
then
one more
she
day.
makes it back with the medical supplies. They fix the Yara, and then Lev runs away. And then she goes chases after.
What a transition. Thank you for that, Natalie. My next point was side characters. And I literally wrote in here, monument to Lev, because she's one of my favorite characters in this game. Fucking, like, bar none. I apologize. That is something that, like, is super well handled. It's better than I would ever handle it. And I thought that, like, that was a cool storyline that I was not expecting to get as involved as it did. Being able to meet Yara and Lev and, like, start so fucking dark with them being like her being hung and these two saving her and her deciding to pick a little bit of humanity, like just take a little bit of her humanity back, give up a little bit of that hate and like go with them. But then not just that, go back and save them.
Right.
Well, not just that, but if she wasn't captured, she would have killed them if she saw them any other place.
100%.
Right.
Straight up, just not even talk to them, just kill them because they're scars.
In fact, it takes her like half of the time with them to stop calling them scars. And that's crazy. Like, it's just like she's been conditioned this entire time.
Well, that's kind of the same for them. I mean, when they first start, Lev keeps calling her Wolf.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because that's all she's been trained to do. In fact, like Lev is so disillusioned with like where she came from that she doesn't even want to let go of the fact that like her mom gave up on her, like or his mom gave up on her.
Do we want to talk about the
pronouns?
fact that
fucking suck at
that the few scars that we see hate dogs?
Yeah, what is that?
Think about the only dogs they probably ever seen.
Dogs and they use them.
They're probably attack dogs. So that totally makes sense.
And like not just that, that's a bit of symbolism because they literally call themselves wolves, right? Like and like the WLF is the wolves. That's a great point. I didn't even put those together. There's so many little things. Little things.
Yeah. This game did a great job with just the little things and then making it connect to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people complain.
Finding the notes all over, reading those little notes and getting to know like all the different people. And we talked about even later reading that note about the ping pong table and then seeing the ping pong table later.
I know. I was like, whoa, we're at the ping pong table. Remember this? They talked about this.
What's interesting.
It was just, like you said, how people were complaining about the story and just like they had to have not even played it and just watched like just cutscenes or something. And it was, you have to get a full version.
Like, how the fuck did you not like the cutscenes? Like, I don't know, man. I can't get on board with it.
I don't know if this was intentional or if they have like a random algorithm thrown in, but there were a few of those notes where it would be like a Scar said this or a Wolf said this, blah, blah, blah. And then in a scene later on, one of the people that dies has the same name. When they do that, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Derek's dead.
Yep.
I didn't even notice that. He was already fucking me up too much.
Yep. I think it happened like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, when I play it again, I'm gonna be looking for that.
Yeah.
Small details.
These little touches, it's kind of nuts. The worst note, like as a father, I was like, fuck, was the kid's note to Santa. Like, just like, you know how the story ends. Every time you find one of those, you know how the story ended. Like, you know they fucking died. Like, that's the worst part. But then, like, not only did he die, but he was literally wanting Santa to bring him presents that were going to protect his father. Like, ugh. That shit's heavy, man. I can't.
What about the one with the guy who left his pregnant wife?
Yes.
He was found near the hospital, and he's like, "If you find these, go back to my wife." And like, we found out
and then
about
you find a note from the wife,
the dead wife's note. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of that
with
shit.
With the crossbow. There's one of those. The note is, "Hey, blah blah blah. I left some supplies in this thing. Blah blah blah, and your crossbow is in there." Oh, okay, cool. Well, you get the safe and it's like ransacked, right? There's nothing in there, but then you find a dead guy with a crossbow.
Yeah, that's world building right there. That's just such a good touch. Like, all it took was that note, and then all the rest of it's implied. You know the rest of the story. The boat sequence where they go on that boat. The whole thing is told through notes.
Mini story.
It's
so great.
I could have missed the whole thing too. I could have just like decided not to check any of those notes, and then it's a cool little boat that I fight some infected on. But no. You know that's the whole crew. They were escaping Canada because it was ransacked. They moved. They thought that Seattle was the safe place. They got to Seattle and fuck me. They had a bunch of infected on board and crash landed, and then all of them were dead. Captain realized the lady was right.
Captain has a fight. Oh,
Yeah, right.
Like, god damn.
The subtleties of it.
And again, like if you thought the story was trash, you probably watched a playthrough or played it through yourself and you thought, oh, this is just a stupid thing, collectible, whatever, I'm not going to do it. Well, when you miss those things,
you didn't invest the
they're
time
put in there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I regret not reading the journal entries while I was playing, because I'm going back and I'm rereading them, and like they have like she writes poems as she goes, she makes little sketches in the book, like all these things are like they're notepadded, and it's like it's the thought from inside Ellie's mind. It's the stuff you're missing for some of it. Like part of the reason why I didn't like humanize her in the same way when she was committing these atrocities. Like I bet you there's stuff in there, and I'll find out that like has those doubts. Yeah. Like, why did I do that? I went too far. Like, am I doing the right thing? I'm so interested to find out more about that. I regret not doing that on stream.
You'll see something and she'll like could be important later, or like this might mean something or whatever, and then you'll go back to it later. And more Easter eggs, I bet you we missed. I bet we did a lot of exploring and looting because we were cheering her on to do as much as possible.
I missed like 30 cards too. I found out.
You go back and see the cards that you missed.
It tells you how many I missed on each level, and it was like the early Seattle levels, like the very early ones with Ellie. There's like 20 in each level, and I'm like, I only got like 10 in each one. Yeah, which by the way, they're such a cool collectible. They're like such a weird like throw in, but I love them.
Why you check corners, bro.
Got to check your corners. I learned.
I want to know how many of them are based off of the staff, because we saw one that was Dr. Uckman.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Obviously
Neil Druckmann.
Yep,
right.
Designer. Absolutely.
So I'm curious to see. Like I kind of want to go through.
So I think every cast member has
managers
one.
And stuff like that, and see.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like Ashley Johnson will get one. What's his name? Troy Baker will get one. Like I'm pretty sure they all have one, and they all are like plays on their name, which is kind of cool. I love that.
Cool.
But it turns out Neil Druckmann didn't get to choose his character. So like it was a staff member that made it. And he finds out later after the game got released what he was. And he was like, man, it could have been a cooler guy. So he's a little mad at that, which is like, that's a cool touch. That's a cool touch. Yeah. So we talked about it a little bit, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, it would seem kind of conceited if the guy that like ran the production for the game had like, I'm Superman.
Yeah.
That would seem kind of conceited. Not for most of the audience, not knowing that may not have been his choice.
Yeah, it would have only led fuel to the fire that like he doesn't even care about Joel, and that like the only person he cares about himself. He's like, you put yourself as Superman and kill Joel. Nice work. Yeah, dick. But no, he got kind of a shitty character in the cards.
You've ever seen Supernatural, where the producer is also a character on the show? Bobby.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Play it up, man. Play it up. Okay, we talked a little bit about it, but the difference between the WLF and the Seraphites, I found that
super basic. It's old world versus new world. That's it. They want to bring the old world back, and they want to start a new world without it. Like, that's it.
It's crazy, but like they're so solely focused.
Only that, Keith. You can move on to the next subject.
Okay, we're done. Thank you, guys. We're gonna go and wrap this up. What if that was like my final point? I was like, that's all I got for us. Like, we're not gonna talk about anything else.
The team is done. I win.
No,
but
when we're going to the Seraphites like villages and stuff, I'm like, that's where I would want, like, in an apocalypse like that, where you are self-sustaining. Like, you're not just dependent on finding stuff and finding things in the city.
Would you do it if you knew that you had to worship this random lady?
I don't know, man.
This random lady you never meet, by the way, which is my biggest problem with it. I want to know who she is.
With Dina, what Dina and Ellie had in the end, and they had their own little farm. Like, that would be out in the country, like away from people. Like,
just live in the country, away from everything.
Because in any big city, this is what happens. There's always going to be factions. There's always going to be people trying to take over the resources that are so limited. When you move out to the country, you can make your own resources. Like,
so what's super interesting about that is the only thing that the wolves and Seraphites were fighting over was land. That's it. Because the wolves had everything they need in the dome, in the stadium. And I mean, when Keith did his walkthrough, one of the first times you're playing Abby in there, and you
In
see
the
the gym,
stadium.
you see the kitchen, you see this massive
The
farm.
classroom
The fact that they
with the
can
kids.
afford to cook up like 40 chickens at a time. Just knowing that, or seeing that they have this sustainability, they can completely, if they really wanted to, live just inside the stadium.
It's funny you say that. It's like on the surface, I'd say WLF's life seemed better, but then you look at them and they're militaristic. Like they're closer to like what you'd get in like one of these Middle Eastern countries where
Communist
you're
Russia.
or I was gonna say like a Middle Eastern country where you're like you have to be in the military. You don't get a choice. You get deployed when they say you get deployed. There's no in between. You don't volunteer in this society. You get put into a job. It is kind of communism, like in like a very aggressive like leadership role, like a super borderline. I don't even know. It just ends up being like it looks great when you first look at it, but when you cut below the surface, like all the shit that the Seraphites do, at least they're all doing it for community, and like their weird mantra is fucked up. It's fucked up, but it's also like why they're so close, and they keep them in line that way. They keep them like all aligned. It's two opposite versions of the same fucked up worldview. It's literally the same thing. They're manipulating through like religion and like hope, and they're manipulating through fear and like aggression. Like that's it's like they're the opposite sides of the spectrum. I've always talked about this. Like if you're talking about like a political circle, like a political line graph, it's not a line, it's a circle. They meet at the other side. So they're both the same thing. They just have a different perspective on like how they got there. They got to people. They actually like, and you see it in some of the notes, like the Seraphites, or people from the WLF started leaving WLF to go to the Seraphites because they saw some hope in them. They're like, well, these guys have a different worldview on this, and I'm gonna pursue it. And then you start hearing their like mantra change and their dialogue change in the notes. You even see it a couple times, and I'm like, these things are all super important for you to see how gray all the bullshit is. Like none of it's right. It's all weird.
No. And they're just two extremes, like you said, of the same world and the same way of controlling the people in a community to try and survive when there could be like a happy middle ground if any set. But when you polarize groups, there's no meeting in the middle.
The extreme doesn't work. Like you have to go somewhere in between. Like you got to meld both of those worlds and make them work somehow. That's how society works in our current existence. Is like we have a nice middle ground, hopefully, but it is kind of like this is kind of like a hyper version of what we exist in, right? Like we want to see what the extreme of what our existence would be, and this is what that looks like. When something terrible happens, it separates people. It makes people like go to what they know, and people make bad decisions, and it exponentializes, and like eventually you get these weird factions, and now Ellie and Abby are stuck in the middle fighting their weird post-traumatic stress war. It's crazy.
Right.
Ugh. Any other thoughts on the WLF and Seraphites before we talk about the very, very emotional and like confusing questions of the ending?
Nah, RJ summed it all up.
Yep.
I love it. You kind of nailed it though, right? Like they literally are that though.
Like,
Old world, new world, done.
Our discussion. It's A and B. Done.
The end.
The core of their beliefs, and the core of their beliefs is like
so true.
So we're trying to maintain it, bring it back, and they're like, "Nah, we're over that." They even say that's old world stuff.
It's so true.
We don't touch that. And they're like, we don't even touch it. So I was like, okay, right there, that's it. We're new world, they're old world, and that's why that was my first thought of the similarities to that in The Walking Dead, how tribal it is.
Yeah,
it's a great point.
I just
Walking
said
Dead
that
did
to
this really
Dylan
well
today.
Yeah,
I was like getting
also groupthink.
Walking Dead vibes as far as factions go.
People are scared to hear someone talk up and like, that sounds good. I'm no longer scared. That I'm going to go with that. And
that's
then
a great point.
Tribalism.
Yeah. 100%. Tribalism is like rampant in this game. It's a great point. It's how all of it formed, and you can see it fraying at the end of the game. Yep. You can see it all fraying apart, and that's a super interesting thought process. Before we get to the very end, last little group that I wanted to touch on, because I actually have a complaint about it. I don't have much complaints about this game, but specifically the slavers. The name of them was just lazy as fuck. Yeah, they suck. I mean, we universally agree. Like, I know there's a group that's going to do this, but it's fucked that they exist. And I'm glad I got to kill that entire camp. I murdered them all, and I was on point.
That's who Isaac should have been like, no matter what, kill them. That I would have been okay with.
Everyone's on board with killing slavers.
Yeah.
Well, they were, also, if you think about it, Santa Barbara and Seattle aren't exactly close.
No.
So he's not going to take his army, 5 days to
didn't even know about them.
Take out people that aren't affecting him. Yeah.
That's a fair point. No logistical reason why.
You say that the writing for the name is super lazy, and sure, I can see that. But I also feel like what was it? The Rattlers?
The Rattlers. Yeah.
Right.
Making the grass?
One, that's a team.
I know, but it's like such a southwestern theme. They're just
Arizona
like we're in.
So no, I
mean,
totally can
Southwestern
Barbara.
Southwestern right now. There's going to be 6 gangs out there called the Rattlers.
You're 100% true. Yeah,
it's one of them's going to make it, and those are going to be.
Or the Scorpions.
You come up with the Seraphites and the Washington Liberation Front, and then you come with the Rattlers, bro. Come on, man. I felt like they were so good. They were probably just at the end, and they're like, "Fuck, we didn't give them a name." All right, slap it on.
If you look at the guy who we assume was kind of like the leader, or at least the leader of the guys that we saw.
Yeah, he'd name his gang the Rattlers.
That big old biker looked like he would say, "My group's called the Rattlers."
Yeah, exactly.
We're Rattlers. That's a dumb name, Bucky.
Ellie shoving that guy's fucking face into the clicker, by the way, it immediately earned points back for her. I was like, oh yeah, I'm back on Ellie's camp. Like, she straight was like, I don't even care if you bite me, bitch.
Yes.
Oh, it was cool. That was so cool. Okay.
And I like how she got the info from the dude and was like, all right, I'm killing you anyway. That's okay. You haven't gotten there yet. That's a fucking Joel move. There's a really great part at the end of the first game. That's actually a move she learned from Joel. She says, like, compare their 2 answers, and then when he gets it, they just kill him. It's like, fuck it. I trust you. I was disappointed she didn't say, like, don't worry, I believe you, because that's literally the line pulled from the first game. Oh my God. It would have been so good. I was disappointed. But she wasn't there. Well, no, it's not, because she wasn't in the scene. She wouldn't have known he said it. Okay. So it would have felt like pandering, but I would have been totally cool with it. I would have been totally down with it.
Like, that's how she's learned from him. She just picked up his,
when she tried. I meant this is random, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get on a tangent. Somebody mentioned this, in that, like, Ellie was trying to emulate Joel this entire time. Remember when she puts Mel and Owen against each other to try to mark on the map? That's the scene. Joel taught her that trick, but when she did it, it fucked everything up. You notice she's not at the level he was at. Like, she wasn't there. She wasn't solid like he was. Like, his mental state was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing this for necessity. She was doing this out of rage. And because of that, it fucked everything up. Both of them die. Kills a pregnant lady. Like, all of it unravels. Every time she tries to do that, every single time she tries to emulate Joel, it ends badly. And it's just an interesting, like, little piece that you don't even, like, pick up on until the very end.
She tries to pursue the past. It fucks.
God, that's a good point.
Right.
The fucking past. It'll screw you.
Well, also, it's one more thing with the Wolves and Seraphites. Wolves are trying to maintain the past. They fuck everything up. Seraphites are trying to move forward. They get kicked into shit for it.
Yeah.
Jesse and people form.
Yeah. So true. So true. Okay. The ending. A lot of people are complaining, and this is what I've been hearing, that the ending is really, really unsatisfying because Ellie didn't get to kill Abby. What do you think?
That's the point. That's the entire point. The point is there wasn't a bad guy in the fucking game.
Yes.
Right.
If you don't, why do you think they had you play 20 hours as the bad guy? Because there's not a bad guy.
For me, my complaint is I didn't see.
About.
Like, did Abby make it? Did Lev survive? Like,
okay, I have a little bit of hope to drop right on you, because I didn't touch on this in the stream because I didn't know what it was showing me. So that opening, that you know how, like, the starting screen changes? I talked with you, RJ, about this. So that starting screen is showing what is the island? Catalina Island. That's where she was trying to get to see the fireflies. It shows her boat, like, docked on that island. So she got to the fireflies. hypothetically.
Oh,
Obviously,
And
we
you
don't know,
God.
but
you
there's
can
a
see
little
the
bit of hope.
camp burning in the background,
She
so
was
you know
fucked up.
afterward.
Yep. So the whole thing is like, at least we had a little bit of idea that like Abby at least got to the island. We don't know if she got anywhere else, but I would assume like with how much of a fight she has, I don't think she
But
died
it's also,
fucking from
so
withering away.
I told you my prediction
knows?
about part 3 is about her getting to the island. Do you want to talk about that yet, or do you should talk about the ending of
Let's
part
talk
2?
about the ending, and then we'll do predictions at the end because like I would love to get a part 3. I just don't know how realistic it is at this point.
Sure.
Oh,
Well, I gave
yeah.
you how they could make it realistic. We'll talk about that.
I'm with it. I'm 100% ready for speculation on that. The one thing I thought though is actually I thought if she had killed Abby, it would have been way less satisfying for me. What ended up happening for me was that Ellie had lost everything up to this point. So if you're like on Ellie's camp and you never got off like that, got out of that bandwagon and got on board with some Abby love right there, like you're probably really fucking pissed because Ellie lost everything. She didn't get the revenge. She didn't get anything. She lets it all go. But the thing is that the one thing she gained, because she lost all the shit, she lost Dina and everything like that. She kept her humanity at the very end by not fucking brutally murdering Abby when Abby no longer is like this like existence of evil. Like I feel like at least she's still a person that can like go back and recover. She can go to Dina and try to earn her back. Like if she had killed Abby and come back and been like, I got it done, Dina would have fucking kicked her to the curb, been like, no goddamn way. If Ellie comes back and is like, I gave it all up. I can't anymore. I don't want that anymore. Maybe you got a chance. And I think that's the thing that like gives me more hope than what would have happened if you'd killed Abby. Like that would have felt empty and hollow and just been like, well, okay, we're done.
So one of the very kind of precursor and very common theme in Batman is that revenge is never the answer. And throughout video games, books, movies, any type of story, anytime the main character pops up and they're like, oh, I got to get my revenge, blah, blah, blah. There's always this old wise person in the corner that says, it's not worth it. Don't do it.
It's almost like living in the past.
So I'm curious to see if Ellie's ever going to get a chance to impart that wisdom on somebody and to watch them not listen.
Right.
That's a good point. And the fact is that both Abby and Ellie got a chance to get a little bit of redemption. Now, Ellie gets the short end of the stick in this one. Abby gets a better redemption story, 100%. Abby gets a much nicer story. Like, I mean, she still loses a fuck ton, but she still has Lev and she has that relationship. And the idea is that she still got to the destination. That being said, Ellie has a chance to go back and fix some things that she broke. And she still had a home. Like, she didn't lose everything. She still had a place she could go back to. She could go back to... We don't know if she went into the woods and just, like, decided to live alone and sedentary life or anything like that. She could have gone back to fucking... What is it called? I don't remember the... Jackson. There you go. She could have gone back to Jackson and decided to play guitar with her 2 fingers. You know, I don't know.
Play the ukulele instead.
A human chopstick, you know, like whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I don't know what she wants to do with her life, but she has a chance to redeem herself. Whereas, like, I think she would have died on that beach had she killed Abby. Not because she had nothing left.
Yes.
She would have just let... I actually thought that was how it was going to end. I thought both of them were going to die fighting each other. Just give up. They just didn't have anything left. They fought this whole time. And then I saw, like, Abby get a little bit of her humanity back right before then, and that was the only reason why I was doubting myself. I didn't know where it was going to go, and I thought that was cool. Like, I couldn't have guessed exactly how it was going to end.
Yeah, I love how Abby was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I have love to take care of. Like, I don't me fighting you is wasting time, and it's wasting too much energy and emotion. Like, I don't have that anymore.
She's only fighting so she can survive to help Lev.
Yeah.
And that was huge. That was the last moment of, like, you knew she had completely come around. She no longer wanted this.
Right. She let the past go.
And Ellie with that goddamn flashback while she's sitting in the water talking to Joel.
Was like, Ellie, motherfucker.
That was almost emotionally cheap. They just fucking punched me in the heart. And
I'm so happy to
see
see
her toy. She started walking towards the other boat, and I thought, like, things were gonna be good. Like, she's gonna just let it go, and she saved Abby, and, like, that was it. But she didn't. I'm so pissed.
Jeez. But then Joel, that conversation with Joel hurts. Like I
I
still
love that. though. I'm so
It's-
glad that their last conversation was a positive note.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Good boy.
Joel still got to be, like got to get close to that. But like it does show you how much she had lost. And then it clarifies the motivation. It clarifies why Ellie had so much behind it. Because like her father and her finally agreed that they were going to work on it. Like I thought they were done. I thought the whole time like she was fighting for a man that like she kind of had given up on. And turns out she didn't. And how the fuck did I not? I'm so sorry. How the fuck did I not talk about the goddamn Air and Space Museum? How did I not talk about that scene? Where
That scene's so good. Best flashback scene in the game.
Sorry, I don't know how I glossed over it. It's literally my favorite scene in the entire game. I uploaded
So
a separate
good.
scene of it just to the YouTube channel because I liked it so much. Where
I
she
need
was
to
in
go back and look.
the space capsule. You don't remember that part?
Oh, yes.
I
Natalie!
missed it.
No! No wonder you like Abby so much. Joel and Ellie's like whole relationship is like in one
You
little
need to go
capsule.
back and
It's like
watch that.
before all the hatred. It's before all that. It's just her birthday gift. Oh, you need to go see that episode. Oh,
Okay,
Natalie, why
I'll
did
go
we
back.
invite you?
I'll go
I didn't even know you
I
missed
don't
that
know.
part.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
kidding.
You know
No,
what?
I'm kidding.
Stop being my friend. I'm not worth it.
So good.
It's literally one of the best scenes I've ever seen, and it's
Ah.
done with so simple.
Yeah.
One shot.
He is sniffling like the whole time, just
I'm
feeling all
sorry.
kinds of
I
feelings.
fuck up the audio
No, I
so
was feeling
bad.
the same way. I'm like, I'm with you, Keith. Oh yeah, yeah.
I
was
went
like, oh
dad
my God,
cry. It's like, yes,
he recorded it.
what a good dad. He's not even their father. Oh my god. But there's one last little piece that they touch on it, and it, just a random little thing. It's like he gives her a pin. It's like a space pin, and if you look at her backpack after that, you can tell it's been there the whole time. It's been on her
Mhm.
backpack in the game the whole time. You didn't even notice it. It's just like a thing that's on there, and you're like, oh fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, are there any last thoughts?
RJ?
I'm emotionally exhausted, as I was
just
at the
have
end of that game.
my prediction that I told you about.
Prediction. Hit us with the prediction.
So first of all, I think they're gonna have a DLC where either there's gonna be one or two where either A, you play as Jesse catching up to the girls, B, you play as Abby and Lev after in between like them letting Ellie live and going to Santa
Mm.
Barbara. So I have a feeling we're gonna see.
I would
how
love
they
to
get-
see some DLC with that, right? Flesh
That's what I'm
those little
saying.
bits out.
But my prediction for how they would make a Last of Us 3 with the same characters ish is if Abby did indeed make it to the island with the fireflies, they find out what's going on. Where have you been? She tells them, we were chasing the girl who was the cure.
Boom.
Wait, she's alive? Yeah, she's in Jackson, Wyoming. Starts up with them storming the town, and it's been obviously a few
Oh
years.
fuck!
Been
I
a
could
few
play this
years.
game.
So hell, this could even be like 15 years. So like you're playing JJ as teenager. He's Ellie's
Oh
age.
god.
in the first game.
JJ, the purest little.
So
Talk about like
Ellie,
Could you
Ellie
imagine?
teaching someone, revenge
yeah,
is
they
not
go
the
to Jackson
way.
to
There's a
get-
person up there.
to capture Ellie, not to kill her, but to capture her because they need her to do the thing. You play as Lev going to capture her because Lev is now old
Oh,
enough.
Lev and JJ. Oh fuck.
So Lev goes to go and save her. JJ tries to protect her. He knocks out JJ. JJ's the last thing he sees is Lev taking her. So he's on a dead mission to go find Lev and get Ellie back.
Okay.
And then the
Yep.
cycle starts again.
Yep.
Where do I
It's-
pre-order?
Yeah, dude. Right?
Naughty Dog. That's a free one. That's a free one. The next one,
Right.
it costs money. You understand me? You call him up. We got RJ. I'll get it. I got his
This
email
is-
address in the comments.
This is not my first golden opportunity I've given to game companies. I submitted a game to LucasArts that they have yet to make a game for that I'm still pissed about.
Well, we're gonna make another stream about that some other time. We're
Yes,
gonna talk about
we will
Star
talk
Wars
about it.
because we've been an hour and a half, actually almost an hour
Don't
and
get me
40
started.
minutes into. Hit them both. We got Millennium Falcon. We got Star Wars shirt.
Oh,
Man, we got too big of nerds here,
I'm
Natalie. We gotta
nerds.
escape.
Even better.
I
I'm
know.
just kidding.
Get out now.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh, well, thank
Are you
everyone.
back,
Thank you guys for joining me in this discussion. I think that you guys were the perfect people
Oh, we're
to bring
showing
on
off
here.
tats.
Oh God.
What?
Yes. Oh yes.
Are we showing?
Yes.
Fuck off. Thank you guys for
That's a
joining
good way
me.
to close.
I was gonna thank you guys. I'm gonna take it back now, except for Natalie. She's been the only normal in here. What?
Which doesn't, I mean, that's unusual.
Natalie,
No,
are you
I'm
feeling
kidding.
okay today? Or do you have the Rona? You're good?
Oh Lord. Oh God, guys, we can't end on a coronavirus joke. What the hell is this?
Listen, this is just like the precursor to what's going to happen in The Last of Us. So this is mentally
great.
preparing us.
Yeah,
for
I was gonna
what's
say. Like I said,
Choose
first
your
victim of
faction
corona
now.
was in Seattle. We quarantined,
Listen,
before
RJ,
they told
I'm
us to
telling you.
quarantine.
RJ, come out to my place, out in the country. Like,
Oh.
we'll survive out here. We don't want to deal with all the craziness that's going to happen in your big city.
I'm strapped in Hippie Town. I'll be fine.
Well, coders, thank you so much for tuning into tonight's stream. It's been a wonderful discussion about Last of Us Part 2, our wonderful, epic spoiler cast. We will bring these guys back if you
what
like
are
them.
you doing to
Leave a
prep for The
comment.
Last of Us?
What was your favorite part of The Last of Us Part 2? Jesus Christ. But thank you again. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things. Follow us on all the platforms. And as always,